The scout has the scattergun, but what if he could use the rocket launcher instead, or a minigun? If any class could use any weapon, how bad would it get? We took randomizer, slapped some stuff on top of it, and tried it out. Due to technical limitations, primary weapons have to be in the primary slot, and so on. So it isn't possible to have 3 primaries, for example. Every player must have 1 primary, secondary, and melee weapon. For this test, only the engineer can build, and only the spy was allowed to have a watch, and that watch had to be the stock Invis watch. So, with all the incredibly powerful weapons that you could stack together, such as the Tomislav and stickies, the best loadout you can use would be something like that, right? As it turns out, the best loadout is actually direct hit with the battalion's backup and Gunslinger on Scout. This meta came to be because of what started with Flog Scouts. Flog Scout was the first loadout that was so powerful and oppressive that it centralized the meta around it. If your loadout couldn't deal with it, then there was no point using it. First of all, simply having the Flog on Scout is already stupid. The consistent damage and easy to aim flames, combined with the Scout's speed and double jumps, make it difficult to kill him before you turn to ash in about 2 seconds. And even if you manage to kill him, there's still afterburn. The Flog Scout then turns from strong to oppressive when you combine it with the soldier banners and Gunslinger, crushing any hope of enjoying the video game. They basically always had Flog crits ready to go. So how do you deal with being killed in half a second? There were 2 counters that kind of worked. One option was to go Gunslinger Engineer and just cover the objective with mini-sentries. While the mini-sentry may not be able to kill the scout, you also don't need to kill him to win the game. Technically, you only need to complete the objective to win the game, so just cap and deny the scout from the objective. The other counter was to run rocket launcher with Criticola or Girardi. Because of all the items people can use, a normal rocket is actually pretty weak, and even 4 splash rockets can struggle to kill. With mini crits, each rocket can do up to 151 damage, which allows you to reliably take down a Flog Scout before they do too much damage. In response, the Flog Scout evolved into the Backburner Stickies Scout. Stickies to deal with mini-sentries and Backburner to airblast rockets. But why bother with that if you could just do all of that with 1 weapon? At this point, we realized that the direct hit didn't really have a counter. It one-shots mini-sentries in an instant and takes down a level 3 in 2 shots. The projectile speed counters airblast. What could stop it? While the direct hit may have no weaknesses in theory, what good is it if you can't hit anyone with it? Except it was actually easier to hit people than normal, because we're not stuck with the soldier's move speed. With scout speed, instead of struggling to predict player movement, you can simply run at them to fight at a more favorable closer range. With how much damage each rocket deals, pretty much everything died in 2 shots, so it also made equipping the Girardi or Criticola pointless. This opened up the secondary slot for utility, which is what really makes the loadout undefeatable. You weren't countered by anything, and you could adapt to any problem. Backup for health, conch for regen, or stickies for the 4 sentries on last. And of course for the flamethrower scouts, the charge and targe. 50% resistance to fire damage makes them much less threatening, and you have the ability to instantly extinguish yourself anytime. As long as you can hit most of your shots, nothing could truly threaten you, and nothing could truly stop you. So most loadouts became basically useless because they couldn't pass the Flog Scout filter, the direct hit filter, or the Gunslinger filter. Heavy Knight was good early in the experiment, since you were a massive tank and ran at the speed of light, but fell apart to the Flog Scout filter. How many heads or sword crits you have didn't matter when scouts could endlessly double jump around you and stay out of sword range while they burn you to death. The other rocket launchers, grenade launchers, and miniguns were overshadowed by the direct hit. They're not necessarily bad weapons, just not as good as the direct hit, so there was no point using them. Besides rocket damage, the speed of a rocket is actually relevant because everyone's a scout. With regular rocket speed, if you hit a good shot, your opponent could just back out and come back later. You would never be able to close out kills. With the direct hit, it's much harder to escape. Grenade launchers would be good if rocket launchers weren't better than pipes. No arcs and infinite range is usually better on average. Miniguns were okay when paired with a demo shield, since you could charge at people while firing. But when your charge is on cooldown, you're pretty useless. Revving up is still revving up, and you take a billion damage as soon as you right-click. Even if you somehow didn't die upon right-clicking, having to deal damage over time sucks. When a flog scout runs at you with crits, you don't have time to slowly tickle him to death. And the Gunslinger filtered every melee weapon in the game. The free extra health is just too good. On top of that, the Gunslinger also made friendly engineers incredibly good. While the engineer is the only one who can build in this experiment, the Gunslinger still allows players to spend their metal upgrading buildings. So anytime you're waiting at a teleporter or dispenser, you can just upgrade them while you have nothing better to do. Everyone was already using the Gunslinger for free health, and now they might as well upgrade buildings when it's convenient. This resulted in a utopia of always level free buildings. The only exceptions were spy knives and the Eureka effect. Spy knives had a niche use with a demo shield or a jumper weapon. And the Spicicle was useful in some cases as a fire extinguisher. The Eureka effect could be used while you were cloaked as a spy. And it seemed useful in a sniper rifle loadout as a getaway device. The sniper rifle didn't seem very effective though, since everyone was so mobile, either because they're scouts, or have a charge, or explosive jump. The power jack and escape plan ended up being pointless because we didn't need to go any faster. The scout already moves fast enough. Beyond killing, if you wanted to heal, medic with the crossbow and medigun was still about the best you can do, with certain situations where it makes sense to play pyro for the passive fire immunity, or heavy for even more health. And last, meme builds. There's a danger to monetization loadout, where you run the bazooka, the bonk, and the equalizer. After you drink the bonk, you hold left click to load rockets and observe entirely unrelated fireworks that coincidentally appear in your general vicinity. Or with the equalizer, you can run in and taunt. Of course, both of these are incredibly ineffective, and you can very easily get knocked out of your equalizer taunt by a rocket or an air blast which cancels the taunt.
To you, Spyro. Oh, frick. What the?
and people cosplayed as themselves by running 2 base jumpers and the escape plan.
Any class use anything. Oh wow.